so we can go ahead and start chatting and start answering some questions and covering the questions we have set up. Kim and I have been putting together a couple questions, and so we can ask you all, and we can answer them that some people have asked us before the meeting. But I just want to say welcome to everyone. Welcome to our first sort of cataloger Q&A session. My name is Rhiannon Williams. I'm joined by Kim Mumbower. We're both on the product management team here at TLC on the publics team, and our focus is on cataloging, workflows, and working on with item and title metadata and things like that. So we put together this space, this meeting time, to get together with fellow catalogers to ask questions of either Kim and myself about the functionality and workflows within Library.Solution or even in Cora Solution, as well as asking other fellow catalogers on their insights and ideas about different projects you may have going on, or how they are handling a certain type of issue you may be running into, or just field some ideas and have a sort of community space with fellow catalogers and librarians. So we have a number of questions here that we've put together previously, but I do want to go ahead and start this first question that Debbie Cook, who I believe is joining us here today, asked this before this session, so I figured we would bring that up now and talk about it. So Debbie asked, when I do an advanced search, I would expect the number of items to sometimes be larger than the number of titles found, because the library owns multiple copies of many titles. What I don't understand is why I so often get more titles in my search results than items. So she's attached with this particular question some examples and some searches and things like that, which I thought was to talk about. So so one of the main things that come with this is where you have, when you get more titles than items in a search result, it's often because you have, it's often e-resource titles. Since they don't have items in the traditional sense associated with them, they don't appear in that item search results. You can have e-resource titles that don't have e-items associated with them, so they don't show up in the e-items or in the items results. So you have a lot more titles than you do items, or you may have titles that do not have any items associated with them. So if you have titles with no items, then those will appear in that advanced search results. That's one of them. One of the reasons for that. Kim, do you have any other information you want to share on that one?
Yeah, I was looking at the document again that she shared. I think she's here. I'll have to. Yeah, so it looks like the one location has 2,618 items and titles, but then when the title tabs is showing, oh, and she searched by ebook format in both places, I guess, shows 8,690. To be honest, I should probably run the search and see for sure, but I'm wondering if maybe those are all locations linked to the title. So electronic items, there's multiple locations often assigned to a title. Ebook title, for example, in this case, ebook title. So there could be more than some locations assigned to that title, and for some reason the items tab is showing everything, even though you only specified Falling Creek Middle School.
Yeah, Kim and Rhiannon.
Yeah.
When I'm doing these searches, it's usually that I'm doing searching for items in a particular holdings code. So it's one holdings code at one school.
Okay. Huh.
It's just curious. I mean,
Well,
it's no big deal, but
Yeah.
it's just curiosity to me.
we just fixed a problem with advanced search results where it'll be in 5.8.0, where the next release it's about ready to get made of go to early adopter testing. So it's close, close to coming available for everybody. There was a problem with advanced search when there was no title found. When you're searching by control number and no title is found, it was producing a list of all items in the database. I'm
Hmm.
wondering if this is an example of of the same bug, but they only fixed the situation when there's no title results. It actually returns if there's no title found when you search by control number, then now it says no items are found, right? Because there's no title either. So it could be this is a bug where it's showing all items for the location, or potentially all items for that ebook title. I'll have to do some more digging into this, I think. Um, so I wonder if this
Don't
is sort
waste
of
time
related.
on it. I don't waste time on it.
Oh,
It was just curiosity. Thanks.
yeah, it's not even like doubled. It's sort of it's higher than doubled. It's not tripled.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and sometimes it's just a little bit higher. It might be 900 items and 1,000 titles. You know, it's not ever consistent.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's odd. It's something that we can definitely look into if this comes up again and see if maybe I'm curious to try this in one of our 5.8 environments and see if we have a similar result there to see if it
Yeah.
may have been fixed inadvertently or if something else is going on.
I
But
should
yeah,
have prepared more for this. I should have done that
That's
research.
okay.
Sorry about
I'm
that.
looking forward to 5.8. Thanks a bunch.
yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of deceptive, so I'm not sure I would trust that number for right now. I don't know that it's accurate. Doesn't seem accurate. Um, because my best guess is it's bringing up items that belong to more than the one location that you specified. Just don't know exactly which kind of how far it's going when it brings those back.
right.
It's kind of calculating because now that we add a holdings field automatically for electronic resources, it's kind of calculating, I think, those items
Mm,
somehow. Anyway, we'll have to dig more and we'll let you know.
I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.
Oh,
of course.
surely there must be more questions from all of you.
Yeah, please feel free to leave any more questions in the
Yeah.
chat or in the Q&A if you want. Feel free to talk in the chat if you've got questions for Kim and myself, or if you have questions for other catalogers. Um,
You can
we've got a
also talk.
couple of,
You can click audio
yeah, yes, of
and just
course. You can
start
also,
talking.
yeah, unmute and ask questions that way. Yeah, feel free.
Otherwise, you'll have to listen to us talking about what we think you might want to talk about instead of what you really want to talk about or share. Okay, well, I just threw out some
All
ideas
right.
on stuff, and then
Yeah, we
Rhiannon, you
got
can pick whatever one you think
Yeah, for sure.
is
We've
helpful.
also got a message in the chat from Jatara. Do you have a time frame for when 5.8 will be released? We are in the process now of finishing up development, and we'll be going through a regression testing with our QA team to just do a full, thorough look through to see if there are any lingering bugs that may have been missed throughout development. And then once we get the okay of that, they'll be going to early adopter sometime probably next month, or and then we'll be having a wider release after that. So we're really excited. We are reaching the end. So the end is in sight, and we're very excited for everyone to get the opportunity to use 5.8. There's so many cool features, not just in cataloging, but in all areas of the software. There's so many cool new features. So
Yeah,
very
pack,
soon.
LS2 pack, LS2 preferences,
Yeah.
notices, that's coming.
Yes. Oh man, all the notices changes they're going to be so helpful for
Yeah.
even if whether you're a school or a public library. There's going to be so many cool changes for diving into notices and stuff. So lots of cool things coming here soon. So hopefully in the next I don't want to say for certain, but I would say the early adopter would probably be sometime next month, and then on to a more general release after that. So very exciting.
If we usually give the early adopters 2 weeks or so to, go through all their normal routine and see what they encounter that's odd. And if they find things, then some of them we fix right away before we release to everybody. So it's hard to predict exactly, but sometime, hopefully within the next month, 2 months, you'll see an announcement come out when it's ready. You can always submit your upgrade request and just have it sitting there waiting to be scheduled. Hope that helped.
Yeah, for sure.
Sarah. Okay.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of ideas that we've pulled together of things you might be interested in. I'll kind of throw some of these out and see if there is something we want to talk about. But I do see that Margaret's talked in the chat. This may not be something about which there's anything to be said, but I remember there being talk of OSA/acquisitions functions being incorporated into LS2 cataloging. That's still planned for some time in the future. I don't believe that's anything on the current roadmap right now, but I think that would be something that's really cool, and I think it would be nice to have some of those functionality brought into LS2 cataloging to maybe a little bit of a more modern, all-encompassing workflow. But I don't think that's anything on the current roadmap or in the next up in development, but that's definitely something that sounds really interesting. I don't know if we have any ideas attached to that, but yeah, go ahead, Kim.
I was just going to say that OSA is one of the older software applications and it's kind of clunky. It needs to be modernized for sure.
Yeah, OSA at this point is so old that it's becoming more and more difficult to deal with what has to be done in cataloging because of what happens in OSA.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We're also noticing a reduction in quality of records being supplied by the publishers. That's also impacting the catalogers because they're having to probably do more corrections and editing.
Yeah. With OSA, definitely is relying on those vendor provided MARC records for a lot of those. So if they are not super helpful, then it leads to a lot more work for you all after you've added them via OSA. So yeah, definitely is something that could use some modernizing and some, it would be really cool to see that functionality brought into the container that is library.solution. I think that would be really cool. It's something we could definitely think about doing in the future.
See that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Gwen, sorry. There's a question in chat from Gwen, but it looks like it's to me directly.
Oh, gotcha.
Gwen, do you want to say whether this could be something you want to talk about as a group? Otherwise, I'll respond to you directly. It's about OCLC cataloging and WorldCat. Oh, okay. Gwen says, go ahead. I'll read the question and then we can both tackle it. She says, I need to do some original cataloging and it's important that my records appear in WorldCat. Can I share my records directly with OCLC? It's original cataloging, however, which means it's not going to have an OCLC title control number, which means it won't get updated. I mean, LS2 cataloging. Do you want me to keep going, Rhiannon, or do you want to jump in?
No, you can keep going.
The way, if you are using a Z3950 search profile through LS2 cataloging to reach OCLC WorldCat, the updating to let the OCLC know that you own a copy of that title is based on a prefix, not just a prefix. The title control number has the appropriate OCLC prefixes, OCM, OCN, ON, I think are the ones. So it doesn't get updated through that mechanism. You'd have to report the holding, report the title add directly to OCLC using whatever mechanism you follow. I don't know if you're using connection or record manager. There should be some way, hopefully, to report those title adds and title deletes directly to OCLC that way. because I'm sure every library creates their own original cataloging records. I think you could also go into Connection and just create the record there in Connection. That would update OCLC immediately. And then you can export that file out and then import it into LS2 cataloging. That's another option. Does that help, Gwen? Ah, she says, ah. Yeah. Yeah. Are there anyone else here using OCLC that felt like they wanted to share what they do for how they report new titles to OCLC?
Yeah. If you're an OCLC customer and are doing original cataloging, how are you getting those into WorldCat and updating? I'm curious what your workflow is.
We're trying to get this to be a conversation, not necessarily a, talking to.
Is my mic not working? Oh, there it goes.
Oh, now I can hear you.
We hear you now, Gwen.
Hear me? Okay, I'm using an external speaker, so it's making it kind of weird. It's my understanding that you have to have a special membership with TLC. Now, I'm in a branch of a branch, which is a really weird setup that we have where I am. And at one point, we were able to create a record in the LS2 and then send it to OCLC. But apparently I can't do that anymore. I haven't, and I'm really new at this. It's not something I do very, very often. So what I have discovered is, especially for local authors, books of local authors, I'll just create a, copy catalog, or like I go to OCLC first and I'll derive a record and set it up and then send it into our system.
Okay.
But I'm having difficulty doing that with something that absolutely doesn't exist anywhere. I mean, we've got rare books, we've got manuscripts, we do lots of different things. And I'm not comfortable with creating a MARC record from scratch. And I'm trying to find an easy way to do that because I'm lazy or efficient. I'm sorry, I'm efficient.
Well, it would certainly be easier in LS2 cataloging than Connection.
Yeah.
If you're using, I don't even know, not everybody who's an OCLC member has the Connection client downloaded to their workstation. Do you have
we
that?
don't have that anymore. We're using
You're using
OCLC. It's the
CatExpress, the browser one.
Yeah, it is a browser one.
Yeah, that expired.
WorldShare. I'm using WorldShare.
WorldShare. There might be a way to, but there must be some way you can report either the record. I would talk to OCLC customer service. They have something called a reclamation project, but that's every record in your database. That's a bigger project where you send your entire MARC extract, an extract of all your MARC records off to OCLC, and they match the holdings that they have with what you have and sort of rebalances everything. But there should be a way just to report a new title, whether it's a MARC record you send to OCLC, or sometimes I heard from OCLC customers, where there's some option to upload like a CSV, a spreadsheet of titles and title control numbers and that sort of thing. OCLC doesn't, it'd be nice to get that whole record into OCLC, then you might get some interest from people who want to borrow it. But,
see, that's what I'm trying to do.
For rare books, especially. I would call your OCLC customer representative and just see what the options are. There should be some way you can report that, and it should be fairly straightforward, whether it's a MARC record you send them.
And I wouldn't have any, I wouldn't have a problem
a list like in a spreadsheet with.
Yeah, doing it as a spreadsheet would be a heck of a lot easier for me than trying to really drill down with the MARC record. I know there's a minimum record I can create that's fairly easy ish, but I'd much rather have a more complete full record, and I'm not comfortable with those yet.
I would do what you're comfortable with right now, and there should be some way that OCLC, they just want to know you own a copy of that title unless you wanted to add that record to their database, which might be okay. There's a lot of minimal records in OCLC WorldCat, so there's no problem there. And it gets a wider audience, in WorldCat.
Right.
Because unfortunately, with with LS2 cataloging, the search profile, it only updates through Z3950, which is the protocol for talking to OCLC. It only updates those that have a OCLC title control number. So that's why I
Right. So
said,
any original cataloging that you do within LS2 cataloging, there's not that match point with OCLC for
right.
with that number. So yeah, like Kim said, I think reaching out to OCLC support and seeing if there's what their workflow is for getting a record into their system so that it's the same.
Yeah.
Or if you wanted to go through the whole reclamation project process, then you could get your whole database matched up with OCLC as well. So
I would like to do that. Actually, I didn't know that was a thing, so I appreciate that. Thank y'all. I'll
Yeah,
keep
just-
listening.
of course.
It means you might have to do it like once a year or something to let them know all the latest titles
Sure.
you've added or deleted. But it's not hard. You just send them off an extract, they do their thing, and then they send it back, and you can import them into LS2 cataloging to add the OCLC control number into
sounds
the
awesome.
record. Yeah.
That would work with my workflow so much better because cataloging is not something I do on a daily basis.
Ah, well, then that would be much
It's-
simpler.
Right. Yeah. It's more
Yeah.
like a couple times a month thing. And if we get a
Mhm.
stack of books donated to us, I might do those. And those are super easy. It's the manuscripts and
Right.
all the other
Right.
archival stuff that we have that's complicated.
It's very
Yeah.
complicated. Yeah.
Mhm.
I've
Well,
only
thank
done-
y'all. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. I think there's some.
And I also saw we have another question in the chat about OSA and importing them and overlaying them. So currently we load on order records when our cards are sent to vendors through OSA. And once the order arrives, we load the full records and overlay those on order records. There's a very high number of not overlaid records. Will the algorithm for matching titles be tweaked in 5.8? There's a number of different changes we made to the import matching process for 5.8. So we've taken some match points out for this that's more relevant, particularly to special libraries who use government documents and things like the SUDOC and the government document number are no longer match points for there. And we've also introduced in the new import option of matching only on a title control number. So if you have the same, if the two records, like it's been upgraded via, you're finding one through OCLC that's the same control number as the vendor record that's been more thoroughly cataloged, you can do that direct match using that new import option. And then if there's not a match found directly on the title control number, it's just gonna have it as an export error as the output file. As far as the normal import, other than removing those two government document fields, there's no major changes to the way that the records are matched for 5.8. Kim, do you have any other suggestions or any other insight on matching on order records or overlaying?
We do. Rhiannon and I are in a weekly meeting with support. And so for a number of years now, we've been hearing from support technicians who come to our regular triage meetings, that's what we call them, about how the import of better records is not is not finding those brief on order records and overlaying them. And it's typical, and the most common reason for that not occur. In all the examples I've investigated, the problem was the brief on order records lacked a language, and that's one of the match points for import. So it was lacking language. And if you're familiar with MARC, it's in the 008 byte 35 to 37. You don't need to know exactly the MARC because in LS2 cataloging, you can just go down to the language and select main language and fix that language. The language is one of the criteria for import matching. Format is another issue. They sometimes have like a book record when it should be a DVD or something. Those on-order records can be very poor quality. Or they've changed the on-order record has a particular author name or a particular main title, and then it changes on the full record coming in. And the full record, of course, is the most accurate. Are you getting duplications? So you see the import title that's a better record is saved to the database, but your brief on order record wasn't touched. That's what I'm guessing is happening. So we've been telling people, customers, that perhaps they might want to review their on order records once in a while, like might be once a month or something. In LS2 Cataloging, Advanced Search has an option to bring up all the brief records. If you forget how you can put them on order, if it has an item status of on order. Are you using OSA? Yeah, they are OSA, so that'd be on order. And just take a quick look in the advanced search results, you'll see a column that says format, and the format might not be showing right, or the language might not be showing right. And you just have to go in there and just fix that. That might help. If you want to, you could submit a case ticket with an example on order, a couple of examples of the on order records that did not match the full records that came in, and we can give you more specific information. But typically that's the problem, is those on order records are not the best quality. So you might have to kind of check them over, not too long after you've added them, and make sure that they have at least language. Language seems to be the main one that's not entered. Occasionally format's different. And by the way, hallelujah, change format is finally back in development for after 5.8.0. So it was started a while back. So the part of it's been completed, but now we have to finish it up. So look for that in the release after 5.8, which is very exciting.
Kim and I are very excited. Ebony's super excited. The developers were even talking about how they were so excited that it's finally back on the board. So
yeah, we're all thrilled to have it done. Have it actually moving through now.
Yeah.
By the way, there's 71 formats now, and so we've also modified the list of titles. If you select Create New Title, you'll now see a list of 71 formats that you can pick from, and the same with Fast Add. So that'll help. Yeah. Because I think some are missing. They only picked like 20 or so to put in that list, and that's not very helpful. Anyway, did that help with the overlay?
Yeah, I hope so. I think that
Beata.
Let us
feel free to put in a case, and then we can give you more specific
for
details.
sure.
It might just be one vendor that's kind of poor. I've heard of the poor vendors are like Baker and Taylor, Ingram, but I'm not sure about some of the others. It could be Scholastic, could be, support never really told us who the vendors were, just that they weren't matching. And remember, if it does come in where the full record is loaded, saved, and the on-order record is still present, you can use the compare to move the items from the on-order record to that full record.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, using that compare feature to be able to move them. Hopefully it'll reduce the duplication that way, since it'll automatically delete the on-order title once you move the item. Let's see. Yeah, Beata, it looks like you're unmuting, but we're unable to hear you, unfortunately. Yeah, something else that, what Kim mentioned about with the different missing pieces that import uses to match on. I know also a lot of, I think it's like Midwest tapes. I've seen a whole bunch where the title is all capitalized, and it oftentimes can be, a subtitle as the main title, or, it's not matching whatever the format of what the main title is of the upgraded record. So, it's looking for those same words in there. It's trying to find a match of that longest word. So if it's not finding that, it's going to not match those up correctly. So that might be another reason why you're not finding a match. Oh yeah, of course, Beata. You're very welcome. Hope that helps. And yeah, that goes for anyone who are saying, if you are coming across issues with overlaying on order records, our support team and Kim and I are always happy to help kind of troubleshoot those issues and dive into it a little bit deeper.
Oh, yeah, Beata, I know. I keep trying. I keep trying to push that forward as a get that into the roadmap. We have, I mean, we've been trying to do that now for a number of years. So I think there's an idea, and I'll find the idea and send you a link in case you wanted to add your comment or a vote. Pretty sure there's one in LS Ideas. Let's see.
But yeah, that's something that is still on our backlog for Kim and I, and it's something
Yeah,
we
yeah.
definitely want to get implemented sometime soon, hopefully. All right. I see we have another message from Gloria. I put translated titles in a uniform space that is a authority. They show up as a local authority, but they stay in my authority section as unverified. Why? Why are those titles in a uniform space authorized, and should I be putting them somewhere else, like in an alternate title?
Well, you could use translated title. That's one of the options in the title section of the editor.
That's true. Yeah.
But I don't know why they're not verified because if as long as you're creating a local uniform title authority, you can verify it.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're not being verified, that might be a permissions issue if you don't have permissions to verify authorities.
That's
Kim?
true. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
I don't know either, but I'm working on my authorities currently. I've got them down from 4,000 down to 800 and something.
Well, that's good.
But I have a whole list of unverified ones that are showing up unverified when I have verified them locally. And I don't understand why they're all showing up that way. And they're most all uniform titles.
Interesting.
I would put a case in and attach the list that you have so we can take a look. So the schools team can take a deeper look and see what's
Okay, so
going
you,
on.
so
Or you can send them to me and I can send it to I can get you a case if you want to
okay.
email it to me. But should have, yeah, I can't think of any reason why they're not being verified if you select to verify them.
Yeah,
Huh.
because I know I was putting like, the title and then like Spanish or French or whatever. And then after I listened to one of your seminars, it's like, well, don't do that because it's already down in the language section. So I
Right.
quit doing that, but then they're not verifying at all. They're just sitting there local verified. And when I go in and verify, they just show back up again, unverified in my authority section. And I'm like, it's so frustrating because I'm getting rid of these and they're still there.
Yeah. So it sounds
Right.
like something's going wrong with something's
Okay.
amiss with the unverified I don't know, there's something weird going on. If you
Okay.
want
So
to
it's not some,
send them to me and then I can, Rhiannon or myself, either one or both of us,
okay.
and we can look, or you could go ahead and submit a case because I imagine uh, support will reach out to Rhiannon or myself anyway.
Okay.
Anything authority
Yeah.
related, we tend to get asked more questions
Mhm.
about.
Yeah. Nobody wants to touch that bear, do they?
It could be something really simple, like your indexes are not getting updated to show that those have been removed.
Okay. Well, I just thought maybe it was something I was doing wrong, and I'm like, what is going on? I will
Yeah,
do that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
it's probably not
Of course.
you. It's probably something odd going on in the database. So,
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you, ladies.
yeah,
Of course.
we'll have to look that up. Let's see. Still trying to get to the ideas.
Yeah, thanks everyone for all of your questions. I love to ask you all a question. I know last week, or not last week, 2 weeks ago, on Valentine's Day, Kim and I did a webinar about critical cataloging and some of the workflows that you can do for either like subject heading remediation or for changing things up so that they match better with your collection and your community and things like that. I'd love to know if anyone here is doing any projects like that, if they've implemented any of the workflows we talked about, or anything like that. If you've got any critical cataloging projects going on, I'd love to hear about them. I love hearing what all of our libraries are doing and how they're making their collections and their their pack and stuff, like how it better reflects their community and the materials that they have. It's really cool seeing all the different ways that catalogers are doing that for each individual community. I think that's very cool, and I'd love to hear if anyone's working on that currently. Yeah, not at this time. Yeah. It's one of those projects that it can be, there's many different types, but it can be a little overwhelming for sure, especially depending on the scale and scope of the project for sure. Oh, yes, thank you, Kim, for adding that in there for the idea on Playaway for Wonder Books or Vox Books. Yeah, feel free to add your vote or comment to that idea if that's something that you would really like to see. We definitely try to prioritize those ideas that are highly rated. We've also got a couple of questions here that Kim has put together about asking about things that you would like to see either now in this session or in future webinar sessions at doing some deep dives, asking about what all you would like to see in the future. One is like, would you like to see an overview of all the different sections within the title tab or within the title editor of LS2 cataloging, kind of going through it, field by field, talking about what the field is for, what type of information you would be putting in there, and also talking about like the associated mark field with it. That's something that would be helpful for either experienced catalogers who are more used to the mark format of cataloging, or would be helpful for new catalogers who are only used to the form-based editor within LS2 cataloging. Well, great, Gloria. That is very helpful to know that you would like to see that. Definitely something we can do in a future webinar, going through all of those, especially with the changes coming to the look and how things are laid out in 5.8. There's a couple of differences there. That would be great, I think, just to do a whole refresher of what the title editor looks like and how each of the fields are used and what information to put in there. So that's super helpful.
Especially with the new contents notes section.
Yes,
Because that's
yeah,
confusing to people.
Yeah, definitely a different look and feel of where the information is as compared to previous releases, because those contains titles are not under the title section anymore. Now they're going to be in your enhanced contents notes section, which I think should be a little more clear and easy to understand where that information is coming from.
By the way, Rhiannon has written 17 blog posts. Well, she wrote this giant blog post and I separated into 17. Anyway, we're going to be publishing blog posts on LS Community once 5.8.0 is ready for release. Talking about, and they're wonderful blog posts, focusing on different things that are changing in 5.8.0, how the editor's changing and what the different sections of the editor look like. And so look for those to start coming out. We're also working on adding a few more blog posts to cover the improvements and bug fixes that weren't mentioned in the first batch of 17. So you'll be seeing lots of helpful data. There's screenshots in these blog posts, so you'll be able to see things before you upgrade.
Yeah, there'll be lots of detailed information about how things are going to look different, as well as if there's changes in functionality and workflows. And Kim and I have tried to be real thorough when working these to understand, to talk about how it will impact, especially related to title locking, since it's such a different, it's going to change workflows for a lot of people, and it's going to depend whether you are in a smaller library versus a larger library with many catalogers, how that may like impact your workflow. So we've tried to, keep that in mind and, kind of parse through that and make sure that it's, you can understand sort of the implications of what that looks like for your workflow, depending on your staffing situation. So let's see, we have, is 5.8 going to correct the problem with the roles with things like author gets put in every entry regardless of how many times you remove it? And Becky says that's so annoying when it adds back in when you want to remove it. Yes, it absolutely is. That is something that is part of the RDAExpress RDA conversion process that runs. And that's something that is getting addressed and is fixed, but not in our 5.8 release. That is going to be in the following release. But Kim and I have been working on, we've had many meetings talking about the changes and talking about customers' concerns, as well as like the implications, because this process is run all across our data services. So we want to make sure that we're getting it just right. And we'll be adding in options to disable and change exactly how this RDA process runs when you are, saving titles and importing and things like that. So it's not something that's coming in a 5.8, but will be coming in the next release. And I was working on those cards earlier today, so they will be in development here soon, and we're excited because it's definitely something that is a bit of a pain to remove information and have it added back in, or have things changed when you don't want it to be. So we understand that it's something that we want to get fixed and is next in the pipeline to get done.
It's one of those things, an automated process sees words in your title record that says it's an author and puts the author back, even though you removed it, or puts a different role in that you've deliberately removed. So I know it's frustrating.
Yeah, it's one of those things with the automatic cataloging and enhancements, which can be really helpful for doing a lot of work for you, or it's an algorithm, so it can't make those distinctions. It's only going off of what it sees, so it can also make mistakes. So we want to be able to allow you all to correct those, or not have those mistakes added in if you don't want them to, or the possibility of mistakes, because it does a lot of good in adding all of those RDA characteristic fields where you don't have to do them yourself. So but there are definitely some little tweaks to it we want to make and are working on.
It's hard because catalogers don't follow the same wording when they're writing their statement of responsibility. They don't always say what that role the person played, or they use different wording than the automated process is expecting. So it's complicated, but
Yeah,
we think we have a good approach for at least fixing some of that. We'll see. You'll tell us, I'm sure.
Yes, and yeah, we'll gladly take feedback once we get this addressed, and once people can try it and see how it's working on their titles, and see if it's meeting the expectations of what you all would like to see and be able to do to your titles. So yeah, we've got that coming up. There's lots of great things coming, both in 5.8 and in future, with the change format and the changes to RDAExpress and things like that. So lots of things coming here soon. Title deletion bug going to be fixed. This question from Sydney. It occurs when deleting titles with no items, and a pop-up box will say number of titles successfully deleted, but some did not due to an error. Let's see. And it gives no information on what that error is. Interesting.
We could use some examples.
Yeah.
If you want to submit a case, we could take a look, or send Rhiannon or myself an email just so we could take a further look, because there's usually a reason why it can't delete something. It could be something the DBA has to do something about. But it also could be oh, great. Yeah, not very helpful, was it, Sydney?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Well, we can
So
definitely...
did you have to manually delete the titles after that? Oh, you found a way. Okay. Okay. Huh.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a new one. It would help to see some examples next time it happens. Maybe don't delete them manually for a week or so, and give us time to get in there and see if we can figure something out. And give us your workflow, exactly what steps you're following too. That would help too. If it's part of a batch delete process or a single delete, that also helps. Well, that too, yeah. Sherry. Titles will not be deleted if they are still linked to a pending hold.
Mhm.
We are slowly trying to improve the messaging. Whenever we do development
Yeah.
around some feature, we review the messaging and see if we can make it better, more clear what's happening. So we just guess we haven't reached that place.
Yeah, I don't think we've touched the delete title functionality. I know we've made changes to export error messaging. So if you run into an issue exporting titles with 5.8, there'll be more detailed information on what the issue is so that you can, relay that to a support team member so they can look into it. But yeah, all the items are removed. How would there be a hold remaining? Yeah, if there's like a title level hold
Right.
on that title, then that would be why that it couldn't be deleted.
The assumption is you're going to get a replacement copy. That's why
Yeah.
they don't delete the title in case you want to get a replacement item to add to it. Add a copy, and purchase a copy of the title, and then add the item. So then it has to be manually removed. I don't know if that's the reason. If you said you're having to figure out a way to get rid of it by overlaying. Huh. Could be just an odd data thing.
Yeah, I've taken some notes so I can look into that and see if there's anything, if we can dive into it and see if we can replicate that issue or look into previous cases to see if other people have been having that same issue. But we can definitely look into that after this meeting. I did see we had another question here from Gloria asking about the latest info about Bibframe, either related to library.solutions working with Bibframe or just Bibframe in general. I know that there's been, I know the Library of Congress have had recent webinars talking about their updates on Bibframe. So yeah, either one.
We haven't LS.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say
Oh.
I haven't had a chance to watch the update yet from Library of Congress. We've got
Yeah,
been
they're
a bit busy, so want to get into that and see what all the changes are and how
either one, she
how
says.
they're going. Yeah.
Well, Bibframe is being, I'll give you what I know because I saw that
Yeah.
presentation. Library of Congress gives an update twice a year at ALA on what they're doing. And so what Library of Congress does sort of encourages other libraries to follow the same thing. Many of the academic libraries are already using Bibframe as to catalog in Bibframe and linked data cataloging, or they have linked data or Bibframe as part of their discovery layer. So they have MARC records, but they convert them and make them into a better discovery layer. Library of Congress is in the process actually of migrating to a whole new ILS, and they're going to be cataloging only in Bibframe. They are right now doing half and 2/3 cataloging in Bibframe, 1/3 cataloging in MARC. So you can expect to see different, and then what they're doing is before they distribute those records, which we obtain for our ITSMARC bibliographic records service, or you'll see them showing up in other vendors and however you import from whatever you import source. Anyway, you'll start seeing records that are more streamlined because they're going to be converting Bibframe data into MARC data before they distribute it. So you'll see some changes there. We talk about linked data. We're keeping aware of what's going on because more and more libraries are using it for data cataloging, data sharing. But we know that MARC is going to be around for a while longer, or people using both MARC and Bibframe being able to convert back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had much interest from our customers, so for LS or Carl as yet. So we're just kind of waiting to see what you all want when you're ready to start using it. At the just preliminary discussions, we have thought we would just have an option to convert the data. We wouldn't actually change the entire database structure to hold linked data, but we would still store it in MARC and then convert it into Bibframe or another ontology used with linked data. One of the tasks that Rhiannon and I need to work on at some point is to go through the new version of RDA and figure out what we need to do to RDAExpress and our editor to make it more available so that catalogers can actually start entering the data that's RDA is recommending. The new version of RDA is based on using linked data, not MARC. So it's a lot easier to write the description based on linked data, but we don't have that option yet. So we have to figure out what we need to think about and do in MARC, in LS. It'll be a little while.
Yeah, there'll definitely be some changes to the editor and how you have access to, or how you'll be being able to enter that information. But if if Bibframe and being able to utilize those records within LS2 cataloging, and being able to use linked data for discovery in LS2 pack is something that's really important to you, we'd love to hear about it.
Yeah.
Submitting an idea, or reaching out to Kim or myself or anyone on the publics or the schools team, we'd love to hear about it, because we are super interested in linked data. It's something that we're really interested in, but we don't want to jump the gun. we want to prioritize the things that our customers are wanting in the more immediate term, and be able to prioritize things appropriately. So, but we're excited, and we're excited for being able to bring in more linked data elements into LS2 cataloging and across TLC products. So there's lots of cool things happening for sure.
I did write a blog post not too long ago covering the sort of a linked data update on who's doing what, just the highlights of a few organizations who are moving forward with that.
Yeah,
I think it was a couple months ago.
I'm gonna see if I can find the link to that blog post on LS2
in case you want to see it.
And share it. Yeah.
Frankly, I'm ready to catalog and link data. It's so much simpler, but it's okay. Most of those, even if we switch to Bibframe, a lot of it will be done in the background. You won't have to catalog, and that's why we have LS2 Cataloging, which is just a natural language editor. The data transformation will be done in the background, so you don't have to actually memorize all those Bibframe data elements and classes and properties and ontologies and all that. You just have to supply the data.
Right. Yeah, that's the nice thing about the LS2 cataloging editor, is that those easy to enter data fields can be mapped to different schemas. So be mapped to a MARC record like we have it now, or it could be mapped to a Bibframe format, or things like that. So it's adaptable for sure. So we are excited to be able to add in more linked data when the timing's right. Here we've got, doesn't matter having subfield 1 web links for subject authorities left in for linked data. Right now they're not being utilized. They're not utilized in LS2 cataloging or in LS2 pack, but I mean, it definitely does not hurt having those in there for the future, and also so that especially if you are sharing your records, either they're with OCLC, or if you are sharing them, via C3950 with other libraries, having that information can definitely be helpful, and it doesn't hurt to have it in there, and could definitely be useful having that information already in there for whenever we are utilizing linked data more throughout library.solution. I'm definitely adding them in for authorities that I'm creating for, from other subject vocabularies. If I'm adding one in from like Homosaurus or something, I'm adding in that URI in the source information, rather than just the, the identification number. I'm just adding in the whole link to it there, so that it's all included. And it's easier for me to be able to cross-reference and go back to that authority within on homosaurus.org and be able to see it that way. It's just easier for me, and it could be helpful for workflows to include that within your own local authorities, or ones you're adding from other thesaurus as well. Yeah, we've had some great questions so far, everyone. We are reaching near the end here. Anyone else has any other questions, related to anything we've talked about today or any other subjects, feel free to add the last minute questions here into the chat before we wrap up for this Q&A webinar.
Do you find this helpful?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
no,
just
I was
asking
going to
for.
say, for me, I was going to say, I've really enjoyed this. It's been
Okay.
really helpful to hear from you guys about
Yeah.
the things you're having questions about, and being able to hear the things that are important to you all.
Okay.
But yeah, I want to know how you all like this session, and if this is something that you would like to see more of in the future, and if you find it helpful.
I mean, at the moment we're planning to continue offering it once a month, for the rest of the year. So, but let us know if there's something we should change or something. We could also use this as an opportunity for hear from you on various features and functionality. So what things you might want to see improved, that could be included as part of questions and answers.
Yeah, for sure. It's a sort of like a cataloger roundtable to get feedback from you all on things that we're thinking about in the future. Yeah, I think that's super helpful to be able to hear from, catalogers from all different types of libraries and institutions too. So yeah, it's very helpful.
And feel free to email us like ahead of time if you think it's something, if you think your question might be complicated and it might need research. Otherwise, you can certainly talk about it at these meetings, and then Rhiannon and I can say, we'll have to research that and get back to you next time, sort of, which is also fine too.
But yeah, feel free to, submit questions to, by emailing Kim or myself, or there's also the Ask a Question sort of form available on LS Community and Catalogers Corner. So you're always welcome to use that form to submit a question there. Give any detailed information, especially if we have to do some research on it. As you think of them as they come up, and we keep a running list of questions so that we can run through those in future sessions. Sure. Email addresses. Yeah, for sure.
That would help. Yeah, once a month, Sherry, I'll go ahead and answer Sherry's question about when the next one is. The fourth Friday last year we were doing a webinar the second and fourth Fridays of the month. This year we're doing a webinar on the second Friday of the month, where one of us will present topics, or both of us will present topics. And then the fourth Friday is going to be just Q&A, a meeting like today. There is a schedule. There was a blog post. I'm finding it's in community, LS community. Let me get there real fast. I'll put the link in the chat. So that lists all the schedule where you can register. This is like a meeting, so it's not as complicated to join as a webinar.
Yeah, and we've got sessions planned out through the end of May with a more structured sort of presentation webinar for the second Friday of the month, and then this more open, freeform Q&A session for the fourth Friday of the month. I think Kim's getting that blog post up. But yeah, we've got planned to do one of these a month. So as you come across, if you have questions that you think of, throughout the month, feel free to send them to Kim or myself, or keep a running list somewhere, and then come to this session and be able to ask any questions you might have. Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, that's a top blog post at the moment. It's February 13th. Sherry, I can just email it to you. I think I have it, but I'm making myself a note so I don't forget. I meant to send out a reminder earlier this week and I just completely forgot. So I'll try to make that a regular practice a few days before the Friday Q&A meeting. I'll send out a reminder. It's
So
hard to
I'm
keep
glad.
up with everything.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad that you all found this session helpful and that you can bring questions and we can hopefully answer them or, dig into them after the session and get back to you on them if they're a little more complicated. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining us today for this first Q&A session. I've had a great time. I'm sure Kim's had a good time too. It's been fun to
Always
get
like
to talk
talking.
with you all. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice being able to have, more of a conversation rather than just like a presentation webinar. So
We like to talk
thank
to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Look forward to seeing you all on the next one. March 14th is our next webinar, and that is all about title locking. So thank you all so much for joining us and have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.